Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, Janice. I'm Lisa Sharkey here from HarperCollins, and I'm with newly minted New York Times bestselling author Janice Dean of Mostly Sunny, How I Learned to Keep Smiling Through the Rainiest of Days. You are going to get your book signed by Janice, so thank you so much for doing this.
Oh my gosh, well thanks to everyone that signed up on Facebook to do this.
And we've got lots of questions. We're going to be answering them right off the start. Just so you know, to sign up and get the book, it's premiercollectibles.com/mostlysunny. And let's just begin by talking about the book briefly. First of all, congrats. How did it feel to find out that you'd hit the New York Times bestseller list?
I still don't really believe it.
Did you cry?
What did I do? Well, actually, there's a video on Twitter. If you go to my Twitter account, @JaniceDean, and I put it on Facebook as well. My editor, Eric Nelson, who I love, if he's watching right now, he's the one that
Eric.
He was the one that emailed me and said, I know you write kids' books, but do you have an adult book in you? So he told me he was going to get the list and that he texted me because I wanted to put it on video, like if it happened. Because we thought we had a chance. We didn't know because there's this secret recipe with the New York Times. You never know. You never know. So he said, I am going to text you and then get somebody to shoot video of you opening up the email to see if you're a New York Times bestseller. So I was around 5:30 and I saw two of my beautiful coworkers and I said, can you take this video? And they didn't really know what it was for. I'm like, I'm going to open up an email that might tell me that I'm a New York Times bestseller. So they start rolling the video, and I'm scrolling through, I'm like, okay, where is it? And then I look down, and I see Mostly Sunny, and it was like so authentically excited.
Wow. So tell us about this book. For those of you that are going to be getting it today, what is the impetus for the book, and what's inside it?
Well, let's see. Mostly Sunny. I like to think back to my darkest times in my life. One of them was being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and the fans know that. I've been very open with my diagnosis, which happened 15 years ago. And I just remember being very obviously upset but depressed, and it was a very dark period of my life where I thought everything that I had done in my life might be over. My career, I had moved to New York, I had a new boyfriend, so I thought all of those things were probably going to end because of this diagnosis. And I looked for people and inspiration of just normal everyday people that had challenges but they overcame them. Right. I needed hope. And I read some books, and although some of them, had some hope, most of them were very almost dire. Like, you can't tell your employer you have this. There's not a lot out there. We still don't know why it happens. We have no cure. So I thought to myself, I would love to have a book like Mostly Sunny to help me get through those dark times.
Yeah, and everyone's got something in their life, whether it's a diagnosis of MS or a tragedy of some kind or depression.
Right. And it's not just MS. MS obviously is woven in the chapters, but it's about challenges or focal points in my life that I realize were going to lead me down the path to where I am today.
And I don't want to embarrass you, but I will tell you that Eric Nelson, when he first signed you up, you sent some pages in, and he said to me, you're not going to believe it. She's such a great writer. I mean, not that we don't know that you're smart and beautiful and talented, but not everyone that's got a lot of skills can actually turn in a really beautifully crafted word, and you've been able to put these words together in such a lovely way.
Oh, that's so flattering.
So it's really great.
It's one of the best compliments you can give me is that, that people read it on a weekend and it's a quick read and it is in my voice. So that, that means a lot.
So I want to start forcing you to sign these books.
Yes, I'm going to sign them right now.
Our first question is from Catherine in Littleton, Colorado. She says, Janice, you're so fun and animated. I love watching you. You make watching the news fun. Well, that's really not a question, but let me ask you, how do you stay so upbeat?
Catherine, thank you for your question. I'm lucky because I do the weather. And I always say the only red and blue that I see on my map are areas of high and low pressure. So I don't have to deal with the day-to-day grind of politics and some of the more, not the greatest of happy stories on the news.
Right, yeah.
So when I get to do the weather, I'm usually outside with a crowd of people that love Fox and Friends. So how can you not be happy with that? So,
yeah, I mean, you're in this beautiful city on a
Yes.
great street, and it's awesome.
Yes. So I love my job, and I love the people that I work with. So that's authentic.
Now, here's another question from Amy J. in Connorsville, Indiana. She says, was there something monumental that brought you to believe in God and have a personal relationship with him?
Well, I was raised Catholic. We're raising our boys as good Catholics. And, you know, I say in the book that even though maybe I didn't go to church as religiously as a lot of Catholics do, the moment that I really believe there's a higher power or God is when I look at my children. You know, I really look at them and say there is something bigger than all of us when I look at those beautiful boys.
And tell us about their ages and names for those of you that aren't aware.
So Matthew and Theodore, they are my sunshine. And I write in the book that, you know, not just the obvious sunshine that we see outdoors, but we should be able to find sunshine in our own lives. We can sometimes make our own sunshine. So my boys are really what I look to as my sunshine. Yeah.
There's a part 2 to Amy's question. Did you kiss Steven Tyler?
I believe there was, like, if you look at the picture in the book, you know, we're cheek to cheek, but we never kissed. No. That might have changed my whole trajectory of my career path and my life.
If you had actually kissed him?
I mean, no, we never kissed. It's a great story.
Oh, yeah. We published Steven Tyler's book. I've got
I
to meet him.
love that book.
Yeah.
And there's a funny story which I tell in the book. But so when we met like 25 years ago, and I was a classic rock DJ in my earlier days, and you know there was definitely an attraction there between the two of us, and he had alluded to maybe getting together after the show,
Ooh.
right? But I never did. And I always joke. I wonder. I sometimes think, what would have happened had I gone back to that show?
Well, you could have been the next ex-Mrs. Tyler, so,
Right. So I got a picture with him, but he never signed it. So I was on Fox and Friends a couple of years ago, and they played Love in an Elevator. I'm a huge Aerosmith fan, and I read his book. Oh, what's it called? Something about the noise in my head, or I can't remember, but it's a fantastic HarperCollins book by Steven Tyler. Somebody knew of him or his PR person and tweeted at me, so I sent my picture into this address, and he signed it 20 years later, and it's in my office proudly displayed.
That's amazing. Well, that actually brings me to the next question from Cynthia, who's in Irvington, Kentucky. What is your favorite memory while on air with your Fox family?
Oh my goodness, I have a lot of them. Lately I've been doing a lot of sort of out of the box type of experiences. I just find, getting a little bit more seasoned. I want to do things that are sort of out of my comfort zone.
Right.
So just recently, around Christmas time, I rappelled down a building, a 12-story. No, was it bigger than?
Wait, were your children scared when you were doing that?
So that's a good question. When they asked me to do it, I asked my husband, who's a New York City firefighter, if this was safe. And he's like, yes, it's going to be safe. You'll have a lot of, probably firemen there when you do it. It was in Connecticut. It was the Santa rappel, which is, they do that every year. And you're hooked up to a lot of harnesses. Right. So I did it. I was petrified. It's one and done. I don't think I'll ever do it again.
You're not going back
Nope.
up.
And so my kids never saw it live, but we taped it. And when I got home, I showed it to them, and they were like, Mama, why did you do that? And they were clearly, afraid.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but I'm here. Everything's
It's okay.
fine.
Oh, my.
But so that's not exactly my favorite. It's just the one that I remember. Listen, no, I went up on stage with Leonard Skinnard last summer and was one of their backup singers. So I have to say that was one.
I'm highly jealous.
So awesome. Yes.
By the way, when you get your book signed, I just want to show the fans who are out there watching, it's not simply her name on the ones that are, so sign up and get these right away, because she has something very special that she's saying. First of all, she's signing in a pretty blue pen, and it says, "With love and sunshine,
Yes.
Janice Dean."
Yes.
That is so nice. I love sunshine.
Me too. And like I said, it doesn't have to be
springtime.
like going outside. You can make your own sunshine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is a good question to bring us to, which is Amy from Warden, Illinois says, are you a natural optimist, or did you have to learn to see the bright side of life?
Oh. I think I've always, my mom is a good person to ask that question to. And I think she would say that I've always been optimistic. Or just, I believe that we are destined on our own path. So I give into that sometimes. Like, I believe that our destiny is already predetermined. So I feel like I go with my intuition and my gut a lot. And I always believe that good things are going to happen to good people,
Yeah, that's, I mean, if you don't think that way, you might have a very different life.
Yes, absolutely. I think you just have to trust, and trust that I've had these amazing people that I've met along the way, that I credit for where I am today.
Which brings me to this question from Robert in Montrose, Colorado, whose son has ALS. And Robert wants to know, what advice would you give him to have him keep his spirits up?
Oh, man, that's tough, Being around good people, being around positive people, that kind of energy feeds on itself. I think if you're around people who are negative or have not a great outlook on things, that can weigh on a person.
Do you have a go-to reading? I mean, obviously, give your son Janice's book, because that might really lift his spirits, especially living with MS as you do. But is there some inspirational passage that either from the Bible or elsewhere that you go to in your darkest moments?
You know what? I have a passage at the very end of the book that my
Maybe
dad.
you can read it.
I think I will.
I think you
that my
should.
dad loved. And I have a challenging, relationship with my father, but he was one of my heroes early on. And I end the book with this passage. It's called the Desiderata of Happiness, and it is by Max Ehrman. He's an American writer, and it was published in 1927, and it's beautiful. I'll read a little bit of it because it's very long. But it is all about happiness. It says, "Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant. They, too, have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be a greater and lesser person than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you for what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism."
Wow.
It's
beautiful. I think I need to send that to my father, actually. So thank you for that.
Yes, and it's one of my favorites, and he was the one that gave it to me.
That's amazing. Carmen from Milton, Vermont wants to know if either of your boys want to follow in your professional footsteps.
That's a good question. So Matthew, I find, he has no fear. When I see him perform on stage, he's just a natural performer, and he thrives on it. I love it. My younger boy, Theodore, he's not as, he's very outgoing, but he's not as comfortable on a stage.
Right.
But I'll tell you, he had to do a verse for President's Day, and I think it was Thomas Jefferson he had to do. And he, we were nervous, and he said to me that day, he was like, "Mama, I don't know if I can do this." And I said, "Well, listen, you know what? Just do your best, and if you forget, just smile wide and say, 'Thanks for being here, everybody.'" And so I tried to make him feel better that way. So I was watching him, and I could tell there was a moment in time where he was almost going to forget his lines, and my breath, but then he remembered, and he was just so proud of himself afterwards.
It's so amazing.
It really
is
amazing. You never know. They both are very musical, so you never know. They might be outgoing that way in
So
music.
here's a question about their dad. Julie from Bluffton, South Carolina wants to know, how did you meet your super awesome FDNY hubby? And I know that story's in the book
That
too.
story is in the book. It's a wonderful story. And again, I've talked about these great people that I've met in my life that have helped me along the way. And it was fate. I believe every place I've ever lived, every job I've ever taken, every challenging moment I've ever lived through was really to meet him. Because I think about my life and all these certain things had to happen to finally meet him. And my friend Leanne from Ottawa, I'm from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. My friend Leanne was on honeymoon with her husband, Tony, and they met Sean on a hike in Hawaii. Sean was there because he always wanted to surf in Hawaii. He's an FDNY firefighter. He lost a lot of his friends during 9/11. So it was literally 2 months or 3 months after 9/11 that he decided he was going to go, surf this dream. The surf was too high one day, so he took a hike and he met my friends Leanne and Tony.
Whoa.
And they just met on the hike and they were hiking together. And my friend Leanne was like, "Oh, where are you from?" He said, "Oh, I'm from New York. What do you do? I'm a fireman." "Are you single?" He was like, yes. "Well, I know this great girl. She just moved to New York and she doesn't know anybody." And he just said, "Wow, I mean, that's pretty
bold of you."
Bold. I was going to say something that might not be appropriate for television, but that was pretty bold move for a woman just to move to New York City by herself. And I think I was the one that emailed him one day, and we decided to meet up after my early morning shift, and he had worked at 24, and we went for breakfast. And I'd love to tell you that it was love at first sight. It wasn't, but I think that was a good moral to the story, because we met each other, we liked each other's company, we started out as friends,
right?
And my goodness, like I always say, I must have done something good in my youth or my childhood, just like The Sound of Music, to meet him.
Yeah, well, love at first sight doesn't always happen at breakfast.
Right. Well,
so maybe if you'd met, at dinner, it might have been.
But that's okay, because, we both weren't ready. We both had things in our lives that were sort of, we weren't ready for a romantic relationship.
And how long after that breakfast did you actually start your romantic relationship?
So I would say probably it was, 6 months.
Okay, so
we hung out together.
Time.
It did take some time.
Yeah.
But when we were ready, we were both ready. Now, he took a little bit more time to actually propose, which I talk about in the book.
I can't wait for you guys to read this book. JT out of Plymouth, Michigan wants to know if faith is at the foundation of your sunny disposition.
Of course, I definitely. Although I'm not, I don't recite Bible verses in the book. Of course, I believe that you have to have a core of strong faith in this crazy time that we live in, especially right now.
And especially also having gone through what you've gone through with MS. And Angie from Lakeland, Florida wants to know, what were your symptoms that you were having when you did find out that you had MS?
Good question. I probably had symptoms throughout my 20s. I was just talking to somebody who's in the book. Her name is Mrs. Klein. I don't want to tell the whole story, even though I have discussed her. She's amazing. One of my favorite chapters in the book. Actually, Eric, when I wrote my chapter to him, when he asked me if I had a book in me, he said, "Write a chapter for me." I wrote the MS chapter, and I talked about my relationship with my son's teacher, Mrs. Klein, who was diagnosed with MS 20 years ago. And she's in a wheelchair, but she continues to teach to this day, and she's such an inspiration to me. She was the one that really opened the door for me to have a discussion with my kids about MS. Anyway, getting to the point, we talked about how we fainted a lot in our 20s. She did and I did. I fainted quite often. I don't know if that's a link. But I was somebody that couldn't be out in the sun for a long period of time. I felt like I was getting heat stroke. That was one of the big things for me. I still can't be out in the sun for a long period of time.
Interestingly, because your book is called Mostly Sunny.
Yeah. And the initials of Mostly Sunny spell out MS.
Yeah, look at that.
But my big flare-up was after the 2005 hurricane season. They had just hired me at Fox.
And that was Hurricane Katrina.
Yes, the year of Katrina. We had so many names, we went to the Greek alphabet. So it was exhausting. But I literally one day couldn't get out of bed. I could not move. I was so tired. Numbness and tingling in my feet and my thighs. And I was home on vacation in Canada. I went to a doctor there, and she actually said to me, you could have anything from a slip disc to multiple sclerosis. And I looked at her and I went, who is this crazy doctor telling me I might have something like MS?
Right.
But she did say, you need to see a neurologist and get some MRIs done.
Right.
Which is the best thing, because an MRI is the thing that is the one of the tests that they give you to see if there's lesions on your brain or your spine, and I had both.
Well, this is a totally different right turn from that.
Yes.
But Anita in Norco, California wants to know, why do clouds have different colors?
Oh, well, that all has to do with refraction and the molecules in the atmosphere and how the sun refracts through those molecules. Just like this, why the sky is blue.
Or why we see a rainbow.
Exactly. So it's all has to do with refraction. It's very cool. We could talk about refraction all day long.
I'm such a weather geek.
I love that you know that. But that's
that.
why the sky is blue. It's all having to do with the colors through the prism of molecules in the atmosphere.
And Barbara from Quaker Hill, Connecticut wants to know, how old were you when you decided to become a meteorologist?
I did it backwards. So I was a broadcaster first and foremost. I went and took radio and television broadcasting in school. And worked at a radio station. I was a DJ for a while, but I was also doing part-time weather back home in Canada as a part-time weather girl. And back then, 20-something years ago, you didn't need the education. I was a weather presenter. But I always had that on my resume as a part-time weathercaster. So when I got to Fox and they were looking for a position for me, they asked me, have you ever done weather before? I said, as a matter of fact, I have. And when I realized that weather was going to be my career at Fox, I went back to school.
Where did you study meteorology?
So I took, it's called Distant Learning Program with Mississippi State. A lot of meteorologists got their AMS seal through Mississippi State. It's a distant learning program, but it's intense. It took me 3 years. I had to take things like thermodynamics, and I had to take, geography and oceanography and all sorts of, I had to take statistics. So I had to take all sorts of courses and tests. And then at the very end, I actually had to put together my weathercasts for a board of professional meteorologists to look at to see if I would get the AMS seal.
And what's your favorite weather phenomenon? That's my own personal question.
I was talking about this the other day.
I have one.
You do?
Oh, yeah. Mine is thunder snow for sure.
Okay, thunder snow. And I love lake effect snow.
Oh, yes.
I love how, like, you get one band of lake effect snow that can produce, like, a couple feet in just, a few hours. Yeah. So that's a good one. Thunder snow is very cool.
I remember the
and
first
very
time
rare.
Yeah. But it's becoming more common.
You know why? It's because we have more cameras out there now.
That
social media.
It. Yeah.
Yeah.
Carla's so sweet. She says, how do you look so great every day? And she's from Peabody, Mass, and she admires your positivity.
That's great. I have a staff of the most amazing hair and makeup people of all time. I actually have a chapter in my book called Always Be Nice to the Hair and Makeup.
That's true.
People. Yeah. They are, listen, they're with us every single morning. It's very personal because they're touching our faces and they're touching our hair. I love these people so much. And they know everything, if we're in a bad mood, if we had a fight with our husband. But they also, I call them beauticians and magicians.
Yeah. And psychologists.
Oh, everything. They are everything.
Julie's from San Angelo, Texas. She says, no question, she's just a fellow MS warrior.
Rock on, sister. Keep being a warrior princess.
I have a cousin who's also a fellow MS warrior. Her name is Loretta Sharkey, and she lives in Vermont. She lives there specifically because of horses. She rides horses every single day, and she has had MS for over 30 years.
Horses are good therapy. Yeah. There's an actual therapy of riding horses that help MS patients.
Well, that's what she does.
How's she doing?
Great.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, Kyle wants to know, who is your doctor?
Oh.
And are you happy? So
yes.
I guess if you're not happy, we won't reveal, but you are. She's Kyle's from New Orleans. Doctor is from New York. Do you use any natural medications? And if you think this is an inappropriate question, you don't have to answer it. Because,
No, I actually talk about my doctors in the book.
Okay.
There's a good chapter in there about finding the right doctor. And when I go out and talk to MS patients, and when I do things for the Multiple Sclerosis Society, I do talk about finding your doctor, because I'm somebody that actually needs somebody that has a pretty good bedside manner.
Yeah.
I don't need you to hug me every day, but at least give me some eye contact.
Right.
And the first MS doctor, the neurologist I went to, was just, the one that diagnosed me, basically. He was very cold and wouldn't look me in the eye.
Clinical.
Very clinical.
Yeah.
And I get it. He has a lot of diplomas on the wall, but I do need somebody that is a little bit, sympathetic,
And
empathetic.
you need some hand-holding.
I do. Of course,
Who
you're
doesn't?
telling somebody
Yeah.
that, their life is completely different.
Right.
And could be, very challenging. But I have a great doctor right now. Her name is Dr. DeAngelis. I mentioned her in the book, and she was okay with that. And she's amazing. I see her. She gives me a hug. She's old school. She writes on yellow scaffold, one of those, yellow
legal
pads. And she's just, she spends time. She doesn't look at her watch. I love her.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's so nice. Jody says, no questions. She's from New Braunfels, Texas. No questions, just prayers for your health. You are such a pleasure to watch on Fox. Always so upbeat.
Aw. Well, you know what? It helps that I love my job.
Yeah.
I love the people. A lot of people say, are the people that you work with on television as nice in person? And there's no question I wouldn't be there for 15 years if I didn't love the people I work with.
And 15 years probably just flew by
It did.
like in a second.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Christine from Hilton Head, South Carolina, wants to know, is there one thing you do every morning and or night to remain so optimistic and humble? Do you have a routine?
I just get up, and if I can put my 2 feet on the ground and stand up, then I know it's a good day. And if I know my kids are healthy and my husband's good, then...
Well, what are your mom routines that you do? Is there something like holiday stuff? I'm desperate to know what you do for the boys.
You know what I do every day? I don't see them in the morning, and that's something that I miss
Right.
greatly, because I'm up so early, and my husband's the one that, helps with the morning routine. I write little lunchbox jokes to put in
so
their
cute.
lunchbox every day. And, Theodore pretty much tells his whole class my lunchbox jokes. Matthew's my older one, and I said to him, do you still like the lunchbox jokes? He's like, yeah, but I kind of just look at them and I put them back.
So
But that's
cute.
okay.
Do they save them? Do they bring them home?
They usually bring them home, and
do you keep them in a little box?
I don't. I probably
okay,
should.
let's start that.
You know what I
'Cause
do,
that could
though?
be your next book, your lunchbox jokes.
I post them on Instagram.
Oh, that's so
I
great.
take a picture of them and I post them on Instagram.
I love that.
That's not a bad idea. I actually said that to Eric Nelson. Then I was like, my next book could maybe be lunchbox jokes.
Lunchbox jokes. I like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Here is Linda from Abita Springs, Louisiana. She says, early last December, you were kind enough to get my copy of Steve Ducey's book autographed for me, and then you brought it out to me when we were standing on Fox Square. I was tickled pink that you would do this for me, and I wanted to say thank you again for being the epitome of my morning routine.
Aww.
Watching you brightens my day into a mostly sunny one. Whenever we get the chance to come to New York City, we always come by to see you. You brighten our day. Thank you for bringing such joy to all of us. And Steve Ducey's so awesome, and we published his book, and that was been a huge success.
Everybody. I mean, Ainsley, too. She's
Oh,
so
yeah,
great.
I worked with her, Ainsley, on her book. I love her. She
She's-
is so deeply religious, and she's
lovely.
She is also, no matter what's going on, she is so smart, so well prepared, such a great mom,
Yep.
and just a bright, shining spot in every morning.
She will, if I'm having a bad day, she'll come up and she'll grab my hand and say the most beautiful Bible verse and just pray with me.
Yeah,
And it's just so lovely.
Mark from Salt Lake City, Utah wants to know, what is the most surprising aspect of following the weather, and what is the most rewarding?
Oh, the surprising. Listen, I am always surprised with amazing things, weather related. That was one thing that we saw a couple of weeks ago that was pretty amazing. I just think weather is also something that should tell you that there is something bigger than all of us out there. With nature is so impressive. it can be the most destructive, phenomenon with hurricanes and tornadoes, and you just have to respect nature. Sometimes storms come through and you just can't do anything about it. We try as meteorologists to do our best to warn people in advance.
Absolutely. And people get upset if they've been overwarned and then the storm doesn't live up to their expectations.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't want it to be the other way around.
Well, that's it. I will always err on the side of caution and making sure people are prepared. So my husband's a fireman. He is all about preparation and not being, caught without, a backup plan. So I always say, just having a list of, if you have children, like where your kids could go, if you're not be able to if there's an emergency or flash flood or whatever, you know where to go. You're connected with your neighbors. One thing I find after a storm is your faith in humanity is restored, because all of the people that come and help you, complete strangers.
And also the way in which people handle the destruction of material goods as long as there's no one injured.
That's exactly it.
And they say always, well, we can rebuild.
That's
we can
right.
put our store back together, but our family's alive and they're intact.
That's
and they're
exactly
safe.
it. Yes.
We're going to play a really fun game right now called 22 Questions in 2 Minutes. So,
okay, quick.
Okay, number 1, where were you born?
Toronto.
Who would you want to play you in a movie?
Amy Poehler.
What was your first job?
I worked at a clothing store called Dapper Dan's in Ottawa.
What is your biggest fear?
Biggest fear. Not being there for my kids.
Who makes you laugh the most?
My husband.
What is the one thing you need to have in your refrigerator at all times?
Chocolate.
What is your greatest accomplishment?
Oh.
Or maybe who are your greatest accomplishments?
Well, I think working at Fox and writing this book.
Oh, that's awesome to know.
Yeah.
Who is the most interesting person you recently met?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I didn't meet her personally, but I talked to her via satellite, and that was Dolly Parton.
Okay, that counts. That's wow.
Oh, she is like the queen.
Wow. Yeah.
Dolly Parton, if you're watching, I'd like to meet you in person.
Hello, Dolly. What is your middle name?
Anne, with an E.
What is your biggest pet peeve?
Pet peeve. New York City drivers, like aggressive.
Yeah, the horn, the hand on the horn.
My husband does that, but
well, that's
he's a New Yorker,
He's
though.
a firefighter, so that's okay. What is the last book you read?
You know what? I love reading, and I have not read books.
Well, let's just say The Light Within Me by Ainsley Earhart.
Anything by Ainsley Earhart. With my kids, they love this book called El Defo. Have you heard of it?
No.
It's so good. It's about this little bunny rabbit that is deaf. My kids loved it, and how she gets through school and life with a challenge.
That sounds so sweet.
It's so great.
El Defo. Okay, what is your favorite hobby?
Eating? Is that a hobby?
Okay, let's move on to what is your guilty pleasure?
Eating.
Okay, do you have any hidden talents?
Oh, hidden talents.
It's an interesting question for someone whose life is sort of
I know,
out
it's
there.
right out there.
Is there something that you secretly can do?
I'm a good hummer.
I'm a good whistler.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, I can whistle.
Hear that?
Yeah, I can whistle like
That's not bad.
Yeah.
I think I'm a very good hummer. I can hum any song very well. I can't sing very well.
What would be the song? I mean, do you hum regularly?
Yeah, sometimes I'll hum. Yeah, I do. I hum a lot. What was I humming the other day?
That's very lovely. I think you should have a YouTube channel where you just hum.
I'm a really good hummer, and that's not my greatest humming.
Well, you're on the spot, but if you were practicing. Okay, do you hum when you brush your teeth? Because I'm going to ask you, what color is your toothbrush?
It's blue.
And what is your secret snack?
Oh, what do you mean secret snack?
You
Nothing
answer
is
the
secret
question.
about me. I love salt and vinegar chips.
Well, that's it then. And
Yeah.
how do you take your coffee? By the way, she's.
I
drinking
love
coffee right
everything.
here.
I like it like ice cream with cream and sugar.
Light and sweet.
Yeah.
What is the last movie you saw in a movie theater?
A Star is Born.
That was fun.
It was great.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
great. I love the Barbra Streisand, Chris Christopherson one.
Oh yes.
But this one was really wonderful too.
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, Bradley
I
Cooper's blue
know.
eyes.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh, it's
I
crazy.
mean, you've got blue eyes and they're beautiful.
I feel
Bradley
like they.
Cooper.
I don't know. I feel
Did
like they
color
just
those eyes.
something. They put like a light right in
It
them,
was
so they were
crazy.
Like,
It was. I couldn't. I
They were
couldn't
both great.
stop. What is the last gift that you gave, other than this book, to the universe?
Gift that I gave. I'll tell you. Not. What is the last gift that I gave?
Well, was it somebody's birthday recently, or for Christmas, or St. Patty's Day?
I always give gifts to my kids, even if it's little like trinkets. They love these things called bots. They're like they're transformers, except they're like little like ice cream cones or cupcakes, and they're little things that transform into robots.
Oh, that's cute.
So I gave them like a couple of those. My husband gave me a great present the other day.
What was it?
It was a Shure microphone, number 55, to commemorate 25 years in broadcasting.
Wow.
It's beautiful, and I have it on my desk at work.
That's
Isn't that
such
awesome?
Oh, it's so thoughtful.
He's so thoughtful.
Oh,
He's
what
the best.
What a hunk.
Yeah.
What cause is dear to your heart?
MS Foundation, obviously, anything that has to do with MS. I am involved with an organization called Team Rubicon that are a group of veterans that go out to disaster zones and help rebuild.
Oh, that's a
Love
beautiful
them.
charity.
Yeah, they're great.
And do you have something on your bucket list
I try to do stuff like as much as possible on
other
my
than
bucket list.
rappelling down buildings?
Rappelling. I sang backup for Leonard Skinner last summer. I went, what do they call it? Not rappelling, but zip lining through the Colorado Rockies
Ooh,
recently.
Was that scary?
Yes, it's very scary.
Oh my gosh.
I would love to be Vanna White for a day.
Wow, that's fun.
Pat Sajak,
Yeah.
are you watching?
Yeah.
Like with the
That's so much
hands?
fun.
I mean, I do that with weather.
Yeah.
But I think I would love. Here's door number 3.
And it's behind door number 3.
Right.
And where do you want to go that you've never been to before?
We are going to do that. We're going to Hawaii. We're going to Hawaii. I've never been there
yay.
before, but we're taking our children and we're going to show them the trail that my husband Sean went on when he met me. We're going to be doing that
Okay,
in the
can
summer.
you please video that?
Yes, I will.
That's
Isn't
going
that
to be
amazing?
amazing. So
Yes, we're very excited
that's
about that.
great. I just want to remind you all, premiercollectibles.com/mostlysunny, because this page is going to live on. I'm going to ask you just a couple of more questions, and then we're going to sign off. You need to keep signing these books,
Okay, keep
however.
signing. Yes.
What is the one thing that you're happiest about overcoming to get where you are? And that's from Noelle from Port Jefferson Station in New York.
Oh. To get where I am, overcoming. I mean, I guess there's a certain amount of fear involved, like nervousness. But I think that if you're nervous, it means that you really want to do a good job. I always tell that to my kids. And I still get nervous when I'm on TV.
Well, I think a little bit of nervousness is what keeps you on your game, right?
Yes.
It's important.
Yes. I think if you're not nervous, then something's wrong.
And what is your favorite time to report the weather? That's from Mike out of Delmar, Maryland.
I love mornings. Yeah. Mornings are the best. Yeah.
Martin wants to know, how do you feel about negative comments that are made about Fox News?
Well, listen, this is a tough time now these days. I love my job. I love the people I work with, and that's good enough for me.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
there's so much room in the world for so many different points of view.
That's
And,
right. Exactly.
You don't have to subscribe to any, but we should all listen to all different varying
Yes,
points
I agree.
of views. So I think that that's important. So and we're going to just end on this one from Catherine out of Westminster, Maryland. She says, for the last few years, it seems as though every day brings a vast array of major news developments. Working in an environment like Fox, you find it difficult to talk mainly about the weather and not about political topics or big news developments. She says, I'm a huge Fox fan. I look forward to seeing you every morning when watching Fox and Friends. You truly are an inspiration to many.
Aw, that's very kind. I love talking about weather.
Yeah.
I love talking about other stuff too. I leave the politics alone.
Well, look, the fact is, you have a great job and you are paid to talk about the weather.
That's right.
And there's other people on the program that are paid to talk about the other things. So
Exactly.
you stay in your lane.
I do fair and balanced weather, East Coast, West Coast, and everywhere in between.
All right. How's the weather in St. Louis? My daughter's just gone back to her freshman year in college.
It looks good. That, you know what's really bad right now is the flooding across the Midwest.
Nebraska's having
Nebraska's
a hard time.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
But right now we've got a calm period.
Okay, good. Well, I told her that it'll probably not get super cold again in St. Louis from now on.
Yeah,
through the end of the school year.
we're nearing the spring.
Well, it's so great that you guys all tuned in. It's been a pleasure interviewing you
That's
and talking
it?
with you.
That
yeah,
was
I think
easy.
so. That's it. It goes quickly, and so do the books. So if you know, Janice has signed a lot of books, but we'll send them over to her office and she'll sign more if more of you
I
go
will be
ahead and
happy
get
to
'em.
sign as many books as people want. And you know what? Like the feedback has been wonderful. I love when people respond and say that it made an impact on them somehow, or I was able to make them smile or laugh. So I thank everyone that has written to me.
And
to
I
tell
think
me
we've
that.
gotten through almost every book. So thank you all, and we're
Yay!
gonna sign off. So let's wave them off.
Thank you for signing up.
Bye.
Have a mostly sunny day.